When I decided to meet up with a small group of friends in Yellowstone and Grand Teton in June, my first thought was D500. It's Nikon's latest and greatest DX DSLR, and it's hardly left my grubby hands since it arrived. The big question on everyone's mind is if this DX darling can compete with the big boy FX cameras like the D810 and the D5. There was no better place than my trip to Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks to help seek out this answer. Now, I will have a full field trip video coming, but in this video, I want to talk about the D500 and how I used it at these two fabulous parks. The first thing I had to do was gear up. When I travel, I make decisions, sometimes tough decisions, because I don't like to bring everything. In fact, I like to bring as little as possible while still getting the job done. Here's the bag that I brought, still actually packed from the trip. You'll see a separate video about the V1 here, so let's put her aside for right now. For the D500, I brought 3 lenses, and one of these may shock you. First, the brilliant 17-55 f2.8 DX lens. This is the wide to mild telephoto workhorse of the DX system. It's not cheap, it's not light, but you can bring it into almost any situation with confidence, and it goes and goes. Over here is one of the telephoto workhorses embraced by both DX and FX shooters, the 70-200 f2.8 FX lens. I left it home. It's big and heavy, and if you know me, you know that when I'm out on the trail, I like to be super nimble while still bringing home the goods. So for this trip, I instead brought the extremely inexpensive 55-200 DX zoom. I knew I'd see some wildlife, so I knew I'd want to get in fairly close. But the highlight of the trip would be the fabulous landscapes, hot springs, and mountains within the parks. I estimated that I'd be shooting telephoto about 10 to 20% of the time, so I prioritized the mid-range and kept it light for telephoto. And when I wanted to be super light and lean, I brought the 24mm f2.8 FX prime. I didn't end up using it at all. I had the 17-55 on the camera most of the time. Other than these 2 gems, I brought the D500 itself, a couple of memory cards, and batteries with the battery charger. That's it. The temptation was to bring everything. It's not every day that I or most people get to fabulous parks like this, so there's always the slight anxiety that I'm not going to have the exact lens that I want when the situation arises. I took a deep breath while packing, said to myself what I often say to you all when you ask me about traveling. Snap chick, it's okay. The trip is for enjoyment. You'll shoot with what you have. And I packed in a single bag. And guess what? The D500 didn't even go with me every day. As we planned the itinerary, I could spot some days where the DSLR would sit home in favor of the smaller Nikon V1, and other days where I wanted the higher quality and features that the D500 offers. I never felt like I had the wrong gear at the wrong time, and even with a limited set of gear, I came away with everything that I wanted to capture, and even a few surprises that I wasn't expecting. I'll be back soon with a video on the V1 and lenses that I brought for it. But in the meantime, let me ask you this. If you were going to an immense, scenic, wildlife-filled park for a few days, what would you bring with you? Would you go light and lean like I did, or even lighter? Or would you make sure to bring all of the big guns in your collection? We're all different, so there's no right or wrong answers. I just want to hear what you think.